Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. Today, I'm thrilled to take you on a journey back to ancient Athens. We'll be crafting a stunning necklace inspired by the elegance and sophistication of ancient Greek culture, and we'll be using the beads that came in Sam's bead box for the month of July. Now, if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave some information down below in the description section of this video, along with a link to the website and a coupon code in case you're interested. As you can see, we'll be using materials that evoke the essence of ancient Athens, including Jasper beads, check beads with AB finish, and beautiful blue hues. I'll be showing you step by step from selecting materials to assembling the necklace. We're also going to be making a matching pair of earrings. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. So gather your supplies and let's get started. And here we have Sam's speed box for the month of July 2024. The name of this box is Voyage to Athens, and it certainly did transport me to that region of the world. The beads in this box were absolutely beautiful. In fact, I loved every single item in this box. It was really difficult to choose, but when I saw the blue check beads, I was immediately inspired. I also love the symmetry of the square Jasper beads, so of course I wanted to use them as well. The combination of these two types of beads inspired me to make a collar style necklace. So let's go over the materials we'll be using for today's project. Here are the beads we're going to be using for today's project, and I absolutely adore this blue color. It's so beautiful. These are called Marquise oval beads, and the color is actually listed as Aqua, and as you can see, the design on the bead has a gold wash, and they measure 9 by 20 millimeters. These are called carved ruin beads. They're sort of rectangular in shape, and they're the same color as these beads, Aqua, and they also have a gold wash, as you can see. They measure 5 by 14.5 millimeters, and these are called starburst square beads. The glass is clear, but it has an AB finish on this side, and on this side it's just a gold wash, as you can see. So each side's a little bit different. I think they're super gorgeous. And actually this one looks a little bit different than the other 5. Sometimes the finish does vary, so let me swap it out with this one. And here I have 2 melon beads. They're also listed as clear crystal with an AB finish and gold wash. And they measure 8 millimeters in size, and we're only going to need 2. And here I have some faceted rounds. They measure 4 millimeters in size. The blue ones actually came on the same strand that these came on, which is why they're the same color. And the rest of them are clear crystal with an AB finish. And these are listed as Aqua, Terra, Jasper squares. They measure between 6 and 6.5 millimeters across. Let me show you what else we'll be using today. We'll be using some beading wire today. And this is 49 strand beading wire. I apologize about the sticker. It's covering up all the details, but this wire is 0.018 of an inch thick, or 0.46 millimeters, and it's in a gold color, as you can see. I'll be using some chain today, and I believe these links measure 3 by 5 millimeters, and this chain is champagne gold, which is a little bit softer than some other gold colors. I got it on Amazon, and unfortunately, the spool actually cracked, so it's not holding my chain very well. This has actually happened to me a couple of times, and I don't know if it's the fault of the delivery guys, the Amazon delivery guys, or if it's the fault of the sellers, because they didn't package it well. Here's some additional items. We're going to be using jump rings, a lobster clasp, and an extended chain. We're probably not going to use all of these jump rings. I just poured a few out of the packets. But anyway, these measure 4 millimeters in size, and these measure 5.5 millimeters in size. And I think that lobster clasp is 13 millimeters long. But don't worry about the sizes and everything, because I'm going to leave a list of all the materials down below in the description section of this video. In addition to all these items, we're also going to be using some head pins, crimp tubes, crimp tube covers, wire guardians, and ear wire hooks for the earrings, but I'll pull those out later on when we get ready to use them. So now that we've gone over the materials, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by building some dangles. As you can see, I have a bunch of flat head pins. Now sometimes when you buy head pins, they're not always straight, but in this case, you definitely need straight head pins. Otherwise, the dangles aren't going to hang properly. So let me show you what I had in mind. It actually took me a while to come up with this design. Part of the process for me is to get an inspiration or a vision in my mind of what I want, but then the challenge is engineering it, which is what I actually did prior to this tutorial. I usually make a prototype ahead of time to make sure it's going to work. But anyway, let me show you what I had in mind. I'm going to have these at the top like this, and these are going to be strung on the beading wire. And they're going to be actually pretty close to each other. Obviously they'll be sitting straight once they're on the beading wire. And whenever I design a necklace, I always start with a focal point. So I'm going to use these squares in the middle. I'm going to use 2 of them, just like that. Let me move these down a little bit. And then I'm going to place one of these beads next to them. And another one on this side. And now one of these on either side. Now if you'll notice, these beads are shorter than these. So I'm going to fix that by placing one of these blue beads on top like this. So that should take care of it. Let me just put these head pins to the side. Let me go ahead and lay out the rest. So that's the general idea. Now in addition to these, I'm going to use these little ones on the ends as well. So I'm going to be creating some dangles with them, graduating in size. The first one will have 3 beads, which will sit right up against this bead. The next dangle will have 2, and the last one will have 1. Now these 2 are for earrings, so we're not going to need them right now. So anyway guys, let me go ahead and put these on head pins, and then I'll show you how to create dangles. As you can see, I've mounted all the beads on the head pins. Another thing I wanted to mention, these head pins are actually 20 gauge thick, so they're pretty strong, but they're also thin, which is why I like using them. Another thing I want to talk about is the size of your loops. If you're a seasoned jewelry maker, it's probably not going to be an issue, but if you're a beginner, you may be struggling with the size of the loops. So what I recommend that you do is to figure out where on the pliers you need to be, and then mark your pliers. And I know that's easier said than done, but it's actually very easy to figure out. Let me show you. I have a piece of wire, and this is actually aluminum wire, so it's pretty soft. And now using the round nose pliers, you would grab the wire like this so that it's flush with the barrels. And then using a marker, you would place a little mark across both barrels, right where the wire is. After you do that, you form your loop the best way you can. And I know it's a pea shape, but we're not going to worry about that for now, because what we need to do is figure out the size of the loop. And like I said, I don't have a marker with me, but I do have my thumbnail right there. And then you would unwind it the best way you can. Flatten it out. And now you can use this wire as a template. You would grab a head pin, place it next to your template like this, and then you would go ahead and bend your wire. And since my bead is small, I'm actually going to bend my pin down there. And this is going to be challenging because it's really difficult to work with such small beads. But I'm going to grab it the best way I can, bend it. It's not exactly a 45-degree angle, but that's the best I can do with such a small bead. And now I'm going to snip off the excess, leaving about, I would say maybe ½ an inch, something like that. I'm going to grab the end with my round nose pliers, making sure that it's flush with my barrels, and form a loop. You want to make sure your loop is closed, and you want to make sure that it's centered as well, just like that. Let me show you again. I'm going to grab the pin above the bead like this, bend it, and now I'm going to cut off the excess at about ½ an inch. I'm going to grab it with my round nose pliers again, making sure it's flush with my barrels, and form a loop. Just like that. And that's how I'm going to do all of them. And actually, I just noticed this loop isn't closed 100%. And you do want to make sure that they're closed so the beading wire doesn't slide through. That's better. But anyway, guys, like I was saying, I'm going to do all of them the same way. And to save time, I'm going to do them off camera. And then I'll come back and string them on beading wire. So I'll see you in a few moments. As you can see, I've created all my dangles and I have my loose beads lined up. And now I'm going to string them on some beading wire. I cut myself a 10-inch piece. I'm estimating that this length is going to be about 5 inches. So when you cut your beading wire, you want to make sure you give yourself a minimum of 2 inches at each end for the crimping, but I always cut myself a little extra just in case. I'm going to go ahead and place a clip at this end. You can use a bead stopper if you want to. And I'm going to start by loading one of these melon beads. And now one of these 4mm size beads. And now one of these dangles. This little one first. Another 4mm size bead. And now the next dangle. Another 4mm size bead. These are so tiny it's hard to see where the hole is. There it is. And then the next dangle. So this is what we have so far. And now one of these Jasper squares. And now the next dangle. Another Jasper square. And a dangle. A Jasper square. And a dangle. So that's what we have so far. Isn't that adorable? Let me keep going. As you can see, I've strung them all on. I think it looks super cute, it really does. Let me confirm the measurement. Right now with the melon beads, it measures about 5.5 inches long, maybe a little bit less. So that gives me some idea of how long the chain needs to be. But anyway, now we're going to crimp off the ends. Here I have 2 crimp tubes, 2 wire guardians, and 2 crimp tube covers. Let me show you how to do this. I'm going to slide on a crimp tube cover like this, and now a wire guardian. And I have to admit, guys, I really do not like crimping. It's not my favorite thing. But anyway, I'm going in this end like this, and now I'm going to go down the other end. Like this. And now down the crimp tube. Let me slide it down. Like this. Let me close these little legs a little bit. And you do want to make sure that your beading wire isn't crossed inside that crimp tube. It's a little difficult to tell, but if you hold it like this, it helps. So now using the first notch of my crimping pliers, that's the one that creates a U shape. I'm going to place the crimp tube inside of it, like this. You want to make sure that wire guardian isn't in the way. And now I'm going to go ahead and squeeze. So now I have a U shape. I'm going to turn it sideways. I'm going to use one of the first 3 notches. I usually use the middle one. I'm going to place it inside the middle notch, like this, and squeeze. And that folds the crimp tube over. And then I usually go to the tip to tighten it up a little bit. So that's what we have so far. And I'm going to slide this tail into the first bead, this melon bead. And now I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess. Using my flush cutters, I'm going to come in here real close and trim it off. And actually, you know what? I forgot to put on the crimp tube cover, so let me do that now. It's never too late. There's my crimp tube cover. I'm going to use these crimping pliers to close it up. And you want to do it gently so you don't dent the metal. I usually go all the way around the bead to get a nice round shape. That's good enough. And now let me go ahead and slide the tail back into this bead. And I'm going to slide the rest of the beads down. Now you don't want it too tight. You want to have some movement. Let me go ahead and slide on this crimp tube. And now the wire guardian going in one end. And going down the other end. Like this. Let me slide it down a little bit. And now I'm going to go down the crimp tube. And now I'm going to go through this first bead. Let me use these pliers to pull that tail out. So that's what we have so far. I'm going to close up these legs a little bit. Check for spaces. Make sure there are no spaces in between my beads. Keep in mind that you want a little bit of space there for the crimp tube cover. So now I'm going to place the crimp tube inside the first notch. Make sure the wire guardian is out of the way. And now I'm going to go ahead and squeeze. Turn it sideways. Place it inside the second notch. Let me just do it and then I'll show you. So now it's in my second notch and I'm going to squeeze to fold it over. And now I'm going to tighten up the crimp tube a little bit more. So now that one's done. Let me go ahead and slide on this crimp tube cover. There it is. And now I'm going to close it up. So that part's done. And I think I'm going to make my necklace about 17 inches long. And since I know that's 5.5 inches long, 17 minus 5 equals 12, which means I'll need 2 6-inch pieces. Here are 2 6-inch pieces. Obviously, you can make yours as long as you want to. Keep in mind that the jump rings and the clasp are going to add to the overall length. I'm going to use 2 4mm size jump rings to attach them. Let me go ahead and open one up. I'm going to slide in the chain like this. Slide this end in, close it up, you want to make sure you close it really well. Let me open up this one now. Slide in this chain, and now this end, and close it up. And actually I forgot to cut this end of the beading wire. I'm a little bit scatterbrained these days for some reason, so let me go ahead and cut it off. I think it's looking adorable so far. Here I have a Jasper square, a ball head pin, and an extended chain. I'm going to use the Jasper square to embellish that extended chain. So there it is. And now I'm going to do a wrapped loop. So I'm going to grab the pin at the top of the bead like this, bend it, switch to this part of the pliers, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. And now let me open up this loop. Slide my extended chain into it, like this. Grab it with my pliers, grab the tail, and do some wraps. And now I need to cut off the excess. So I'm going to use my flush cutters. And I'm going to tuck in that little end. You don't want anything sharp sticking out. So there's my pretty bead. Here's my lobster clasp, and I have 2 jump rings. This one measures 4 millimeters, and I think that one measures 5.5 millimeters. Let me go ahead and open up the big one. Slide my extended chain into it. And now I'm going to slide on the chain like this. Close up the jump ring. And now let me open up this little one. Slide the clasp into it. And slide this part of the necklace into it as well. And close up the jump ring. So here's my Athenian-inspired collar necklace, fit for a Greek princess. And I think it's adorable, it really is. I love the combination of the blue beads and the Jasper. It's so pretty. And I do want to model it for you, but we're going to make a pair of earrings first. I've already made one, here it is. I used one of the blue check beads for the dangle, and it's on a flat head pin. And the square bead is mounted on a piece of wire with 2 loops, as you can see. Here's my dangle. Here's my square bead. Here's an ear wire hook. And here's a piece of wire. This is actually a scrap piece of flat head pin that I snipped off when I created these little dangles. Nothing goes to waste around here. So now I'm going to grab it with my pliers at about 3/8 of an inch down, bend it, grab it with my round nose pliers, making sure it's flush, create a loop, like that, slide on my bead, grab the pin again above the bead, bend it. I'm going to cut off some of this pin because I don't need this much. And now I'm going to grab this end with my round nose pliers again, form a loop, let me grab the loop with these pliers, and now with these pliers I'm going to grab this one and line up my loops. Let me open it up now, slide on the dangle, close up the loop, and now I'm going to open up this one, slide the ear wire hook into it, and close up the loop. And that was super easy to make. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Like I said, I am going to model this necklace for you, so please stick around for that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.